I've been living in Portugal for a month now, and I've noticed quite a few differences between the US and here. The first thing that caught me off guard were some men knocking on my door the first morning I was here. And now typically I would not let strange men into my apartment, but in my broken Portuguese, I could understand that they were here to check the gas and the water meter. So typically in the US, when you get your utility bills, they would just come in the mail or to your email, or they would be deducted from your bank account with auto pay. But here in Portugal, they might need to come in and check the meter before your bill arrives. So if strange men are knocking on your door, hopefully they're not there to abduct you. They're just there to check the meters. Then I went to the grocery store where I spent way too much time looking for the eggs until I remembered that in Portugal, they keep their eggs on the shelf, whereas in the US, they are in the refrigerated section. Orange juice is also different. In the US, you get your OJ in a carton or a bottle, whereas in Portugal, you can get it fresh squeezed right in the store. Speaking of grocery shopping, in the US, you might go to get your groceries once per week or go to Costco or Sam's Club to buy in bulk. But in Portugal, most people do their shopping every day. And instead of using plastic bags, they bring their own. Once you're in the grocery store, you'll find that the prices are much lower here in Portugal as well. One thing that has blown my mind is how cheap lettuce is. I've been spending like $3 or $4 for a bag of lettuce in the US, whereas in Portugal, it's less than €1. And in the US, like a big box of lettuce could easily be $5 to $7. But in Portugal, they mostly have the bags of mixed greens, or you can also buy a head of lettuce for like a few cents. I bought a head of cabbage for 30 cents the other day, so it's a pretty good deal on food prices here. In the US, if you're going to get your morning coffee, you might order it through the Starbucks app or run in line and grab and go. But in Portugal, you can actually order your breakfast and then ask them to give you your coffee at the end so it doesn't get cold. So if you order something like the menu of the day, which might come with a coffee, juice, and croissant, the nice people at the counter will ask you if you want your coffee now or if you want it later, and they'll just give you a receipt where you can walk back up to the counter and get a nice hot espresso or a cup of coffee to end your meal. Speaking of coffee, the prices in Portugal are much more affordable than the US. At a coffee shop in the US, you could easily pay $3 to $6 for your cup of coffee, but in Portugal, you can get an espresso or Americano as low as 75 cents. And to go with your coffee, the typical American breakfast might look like this, or like this, or like this. But in Portugal, most people just have a croissant or some sort of baked good for their breakfast. But one thing that Americans and Portuguese do seem to have in common is share their love for donuts. So I've seen donuts everywhere here in Lisbon, especially the cream-filled kind, which is not my personal favorite, but to each their own. In the US, a lot of people drive these, but in Portugal, your car might look like this. In the US, you might use a dryer to dry your clothes, but in Portugal, you probably hang them outside. In the US, you probably also have the luxury of central air conditioning and heating, whereas in Portugal, you might not have climate control at all. At best, you might have one of these so you can control the temperature in each room individually. When you eat out in the US, you might be accustomed to leaving 15 to 20% tip on your bill. In Miami, it's like 25% now, but in Portugal, tipping is not expected. And if you leave 10%, that would be considered a bonus. If you like to partake in nightlife, you might notice that bars and clubs typically close around 1 or 2 in the morning in the US, whereas in Portugal, the party can continue until 6 a.m., 9 a.m., noon the next day. And in the US, there's a lot of open container laws, so you can't take your beer out of the bar with you. But in Portugal, you can drink openly on the street, take your beer to go, even in the car, as long as you're not driving over the legal limit. So that's something that has really surprised me. If you have kids, you probably need to get them to school by 7 or 8 in the morning. But in Portugal, the average school day starts at 9 a.m. The cost of living is also much less here in Portugal. The average cost of living in the US is over $3,000 per month for a single person, whereas in Portugal, it's less than €1,000 per month. Meanwhile, a family of 4 in the US might cost around $7,000 or $8,000 per month, whereas the average spending in Portugal is less than $2,000 per month. When it comes to working, the Portuguese also get a lot more time off. In the US, if you're lucky, you might get 10 to 14 paid days of vacation per year, whereas in Portugal, you can get 22. Portugal is also much safer than the US. The US ranks 129th on the Global Peace Index, whereas Portugal is the 6th most peaceful country in the world. Have you noticed any differences in the way of life between the US and Portugal? Let me know in the comments below and click on one of these videos for more info about living or traveling in Portugal.